All right, guys, time for a very special guest, Kevin O'Leary. You may know him as Mr. Wonderful or Chef Wonderful, depending really on the contest. Chairman of O'Leary Ventures. Kevin, how are you?
Great to be here. Thank you. Well, you know, it's almost been a year since you and I talked about this, and so much has happened. So let's just step back just a few months and talk about this asset class, because crypto, as most of us that have held it, it's been one of our best performing asset classes in 2023. No question about it. Now, first of all, Jan 10th is the big date when the SEC and Gensler are going to decide if they're going to issue that license for an ETF. But I want to warn everybody of something here. I'm in the camp that says he won't do it. He's got a mandate that'll be for another 18 months. And even if he says no, I don't think it's going to change the momentum of what's occurring here, because some really big things happen to change institutional interest to the upside in crypto. The big hold back on Bitcoin and Ethereum, the granddaddies of crypto, has been the fact that institutions, particularly sovereign wealth, have not allocated their traditional 1% to 3% to this asset class while they're waiting for the regulator to approve it. Now, as you well know, FTX history, Binance litigated into oblivion. Its founder, largest shareholder, now a convicted felon, going to prison in March in the US. That's a big problem for institutions that want to keep their Binance accounts. And so the big news that occurred in the brick and mortar, if you want to call it that, of exchanges, the picks and shovels of crypto. In other words, if you're an institution and you're going to park $1 billion somewhere, you got to have a compliant exchange. And that's not Coinbase, because they're being sued by Gensler too. And remember, everybody, and this is crucial to the long-term prognosis of Bitcoin and crypto, only 38% of it is held in North America. The rest is all around the world. So the big question is, where are the billions going to go that used to be on Binance? And the answer is what occurred last month in Abu Dhabi, the launch of the M2 exchange backed by sovereign wealth, the largest of its kind in terms of financial backing,
Not yet.
tied to behemoth institutions. That's very good news. Yeah, the answer is, if Gensler turns down ETFs, they're not going to do anything for it. They're just going to wait it out. You know, here's the problem. If you're Fidelity, you're BlackRock, you're Blackstone, or you're one of these behemoths, you operate on 100% compliance every day. And so you're not going to take down a 1% to 3% allocation of some extreme situation in Bitcoin when Gensler's litigating everybody in North America. And so if we don't get the ETF, that will signal that there's more work to be done on the regulatory environment. And I'd say that's 50-50. But that doesn't change the trajectory of what Bitcoin could become, because let's think about that going back to M2. Who owns M2? Well, the largest sovereign is actually sovereign wealth that owns it. 70% of it's held by sovereign wealth. But there's a company called Phoenix Group that just went public on the ADX. And I want to talk about this because I became a shareholder in that on the premise that that is going to be one way I can own M2, because North American traders can't open accounts on M2 yet. You can't do it in Canada. You can't do it in the US, although there's a lot of countries that you can. And so the way to own a piece of M2 is to own Phoenix, PHX, on the ADX. That's the exchange in Abu Dhabi. And everybody said, and I went over there for the opening. I flew all the way there to understand this, because I'm a big guy on the long term of crypto. But I like picks and shovels. I like the exchange idea. As you know, I own a big position in WonderFi in Canada. We have now 1 million accounts here. Since we last talked, that whole sector in Canada is consolidated. WNDR, look at that chart. It was 10 cents. Now it's 34 in the year. So it's had a big move too. And I think there'll be more consolidation in the Canadian market. But to own Phoenix means you own 30% of M2. And so I found that I could open an account as a North American resident by using international securities. You can download that app on your iPhone, do your Know Your Client upload. It's a headache like anybody in opening any account anywhere. Then I wired the dough over there into AED. It sounds complicated. I bought the IPO. I'm up 30%. And I'm going to hold that for the next 2 years because I think M2 and Phoenix are going in one direction, up. Sure, it's a speculation, but you talk about the other 70% of Bitcoin. Where's it going to go? It's going to leave Binance and go on to M2 where it's safe. That's my whole premise. And I'm going to keep flying every quarter to Abu Dhabi because that's the new capital of capital. I'm really excited about that. And I'm really long Bitcoin, Ethereum, Poly, Manic is a big one for me too, Algorand. Polygons, I look at it, these are big asset moves in the last year, 20, 30, 40%. But people that counted out crypto just saying that it's only the US got it wrong. Well, I went to the hearings last month. Actually, it was about 8 weeks ago in Washington, D.C. I go to D.C. now almost once a month just to keep a tone on what's happening, because I'm also interested in digital payment systems like USDC, and there's that digital payment systems bill, the stablecoin bill going through Congress too. Anyways, I listened to senators and congressmen and women grilling Gensler for about 2 hours on the Hill. And, that guy was taking balls of fire being thrown at him. But he held his own because he has a basic premise that until this is regulated under the existing rules, he's just not going to allow it. And he was also bolstered by the fact that he was the guy that went after Binance. You remember how that played out. And he basically won that situation. And CZ flew from Dubai all the way to Seattle and is working it out. And I don't know how long he's going to spend in prison, but Gensler's not finished. A lot of people think that Binance has settled. They haven't settled with the SEC yet. That's the problem. So after the couple of years in prison, then it's got to be settling with the SEC. It could take a while. And he's going after Coinbase as well. So if you're going to have an ETF and you're going to do creates every day, you need spot pricing on a massive liquid exchange. Well, where's that going to be if Gensler's suing them all? Now, I hope I'm wrong. You don't have to wait that long. We're going to go through New Year's. Then we're going to get December or January 10th, and you'll know. And if I'm wrong, you're going to get a big move up in Bitcoin. But even if I'm right and Gensler punts it and says, I'm going to wait, no one's going to take him up on it. They've begun to understand that he wins most of the fights he starts. Remember, Coinbase is going into round 4 in litigation with Gensler. They've lost the first 3 over the last 3 years. The chance they win the 4th, in my view, 0. So you can't win against the regulator. And really what Coinbase is asking is change the law. Guys, it ain't going to happen. So you have to realize you got to be dealt the hand and work with the hand you're dealt with. And I think that until Gensler's done by getting everybody to play with anything in crypto, and particularly Bitcoin, ETFs, by existing rules of securities, he's not going to press the button to say go. But I don't think that's the end of the world. That's only 35% of the market. The rest, that's going to M2. Well, there's really 2 questions there, and I'll tell you, it's a good one to raise. The digitization of content, whether it's the way you're driving your information to people watching Trader TV all around the world, which changed so much in the last 36 months, you continue to grow because people find you wherever they want to find you because of digitization. Companies like Microsoft, Amazon, and Google have figured that out too. And every individual only has so many hours of the day on stuff they can do and watch. And so you want to try and capture as much time as you can from them. This is causing major headaches for the traditional television and cable networks. And so, yes, they're going to expand out of their comfort zone, particularly Amazon, going into Thursday Night Football, obviously. That has not hurt the market capitalization of the stock, even though that makes them no money. But it exposes them to more families and an Amazon smiling brand logo, and all of that is occurring. Now, regarding the regulator, and that is a great question, is what I've learned, and I've been doing this a long time, is I treat the regulator as your friend. You got to go sit down with their staffers off the record like I do and find out what they're thinking. You can't win when you go to war against the regulator. because the shareholders don't want to be part of that war, and you're not going to win anyways. They have unlimited resources. You got to find the compromise in regulation prior to doing the deal. Find out what you think is going to work by asking them. Now, maybe they don't give you the answer you want. They're not going to pave it for you, but at least you're going to understand the sensitive areas where you can't tread.
Right.
The smart managers do that. The men and women that are protecting their stock prices go and do that. Gensler's door is open, or the Federal Trade Commission door, it's open. You can give them a call and sit down in Washington and ask them. Sit down and talk to them. It's not that hard to do. That's the new way I think about it. I want to make a deal with these guys. I don't want to go to war with them. You make zero money doing that.
All right. Chef Wonderful, Mr. Wonderful, and proponent of cash flow, Chairman of O'Leary Ventures, Kevin O'Leary, thank you very much for being on, sir.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.